Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sharing my screen.
So we start by offering our most respectful obeisances unto the presiding deities of our temple, Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, the divisions of faith. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So we have been seeing how Lord Krishna is speaking about chanting the holy name. First, he told us about the three modes of material nature, and now, towards the tail end of the chapter, he is telling us how to overcome or transcend these three modes of material nature. So, one important way is to chant the holy names. Okay, so specifically, the Lord spoke about Om Tat Sat, this three-syllable mantra. And in the previous shloka, we have seen in detail about Om. Okay, so let us now see in detail about the word Tat in shloka number 25. तत् इत्यनिभिसन्धाय तदित्यनिभिसन्धाय फलं यज्ञातपक्रियाः फलं यज्ञातपक्रियाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः. Without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. So here Lord Krishna is saying, Anabhisandhaya phalam, without desiring fruitive results. One should perform various kinds of yajna, tapa, kriyaha, meaning sacrifice, charity, and penance, and various activities. Okay? And with all these activities, while we perform them, how should we perform them? We should chant the holy name. Okay, so now let us take a step back. So, actually, when all these activities are performed, they are done for the purpose of becoming free from material entanglement. When these different holy names are chanted, then we can understand that the shortcomings will be taken care of, because the holy name will extinguish all of the shortcomings. As human beings, we commit some mistake or the other here and there. Okay, maybe while reciting the hymns, we may recite them with the wrong pronunciation. Maybe the ingredients which we are using in the fire sacrifices that we conduct, they may be impure, or our clothes may have gotten impure due to some reason. Something or the other will be there, some shortcoming or the other. This material world is contaminated and we are part of it. So it's natural that while performing these sacrifices, these austerities, some shortcoming or some contamination will be there. But when we chant the holy names, when we do kirtan, these shortcomings will be taken care of. Okay, here Krishna is speaking specifically about chanting the word Tat, but essentially it is the same as chanting the holy names or chanting the Maha Mantra. It is important to chant the names of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada starts this purport by saying, to be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Quite a strong statement there. If we want to elevate ourselves spiritually, we should not act at all for material gain, which means we should not have any desires. So, actually, there cannot be any state of our existence when we become desireless. Okay, it is not possible to not have any desires. Is that correct? So, even desiring to become desireless means that we are having a desire to become desireless, right? So, desire will always be there. We will always be yearning for something, hankering something. But what is this process of bhakti doing? Bhakti is basically transforming our material desires to spiritual desires. When all our desires are spiritual, then we can see that we are free from material desires or free from any aspiration for material gain. In fact, in the material world, everything is temporary, as we know. Everything is ashashwatam, non permanent. Whatever we get, we are going to lose it anyway. Okay, therefore, it's pointless to endeavor so much to get something material. It is not very intelligent. Spending so much time and money and energy in something which is going to go away in a matter of a few months or years. Whatever material credits that we have accumulated, if not now, will surely anyway go off at the time of death. It will be meaningless. So, one who is truly intelligent, how will he think? What is going to remain with me permanently? Let me invest in that. And what is permanent? Our spiritual credits. Our spiritual credits is permanent. Sukriti, that is permanent. And how do we get these spiritual credits? By performing spiritual activities. When we hanker, so it's not possible to be desireless, but to have desires such as these. Okay, to hanker for something spiritual, like I want to attain Krishna. I would like to have the taste for reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. I would like to increase my taste for chanting the holy names. I want to acquire the taste for serving the Vaishnavas. When we have all these desires, then these are called spiritual desires. When Krishna fulfills these desires, such pious credits, such spiritual credits, spiritual activities will remain with us. Okay, so we should have spiritual desires, not hanker for material gain. Okay, and the second line in this purport, Srila Prabhupada further says that acts should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, back home, back to Godhead. So that means whatever we do, we should do targeting that we should finally attain the Lord and serve Him. This should always be in the back of our mind. Whatever activity that we perform, let us think of this. Will this bring me closer to Krishna? Okay. So, as aspiring devotees, let us do everything with this target that we attain the lotus feet of the Lord and serve Him. Okay, we are not interested to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy there, okay, or settle here as well in this earthly planet. We are interested to go back home, back to Godhead. So when we chant the holy names of the Lord by saying the word Tat or by reciting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we will become purified, and this desire to go back home, back to Godhead, will further and further intensify. So there is the difference between sadhakas like us and pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. So they have that intense desire. They are pure and they have that intense desire to go back home, back to Godhead. For us, it may sometimes be intense. Sometimes, when we visit the holy dham, when we are fully in the association of devotees day and night, then the desire is intense. But sometimes it is sluggish. Sometimes it is non existent. But when we keep chanting the holy names, when we keep performing various devotional activities, when we keep receiving the association of such pure devotees, then that desire will intensify more and more and more. When we see that someone has this intense desire, we should catch hold of that person and take as much of their association as possible so that our desire will also intensify. Like this, by chanting the holy names and associating with pure devotees, we should always try to intensify the desire to go back home, back to Godhead, more and more and more. Intensify our spiritual desires to read Srimad Bhagavatam, to get a taste for chanting the holy name more and more and more. So, Krishna has described the word Om. In this verse, he has described the word Tat and how it's synonymous to chanting the holy names. And tomorrow we will hear him describing the word Sat. So let us hear more about that tomorrow. Thank you very much. So that concludes our Bhagavad Gita shloka for the day. Chapter 17, verse number 25. And now, in conjunction with the month of Kartik, we are going to share a very special story today. So, it is story time, dear Prabhus and Matajis. And many, many wonderful things happened during this most auspicious month of Kartik. Okay, so what are some of the things that are special in this month? What are some of the things that happened, or what are some of the events that occurred? Can some of you share? You can type it in the chat. Okay, we're waiting for the responses. Special events in the month of Kartik. Is anyone there? Okay. Yes. Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Nothing, Mataji. Continue.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. Rama, Lord Ram returned back from exile. Yes, thank you very much, Kalyani Mataji. Okay, Lord Ram returned back to Ayodhya. Madhu Yashoda bound Krishna. Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. Okay, also Krishna graduates, or basically, Krishna becomes promoted from becoming a Vatsa Palaka to a Gopalaka. That is the auspicious occasion of Gopashtami. So, Gopashtami is tomorrow, and you all will hear this wonderful, wonderful story tomorrow. Okay, very sweet story. But today we will hear about another event which is very significant in Kartik and which is very, very important and very inspiring for devotees, practicing sadhaka devotees like us. That is Gajendra Moksha, or the liberation of the king of elephants, Gajendra. Okay, so this is a very, very important pastime with very important learnings and take homes and realizations. So let us look at this wonderful pastime today. Okay, so this pastime is very wonderfully described by Shukadev Goswami in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so he begins by describing the pastimes by the place, by wonderfully describing the place where this happens. Okay, actually, in the midst of the milk ocean, there is a very beautiful range of mountains. Okay, and this mountain range is known as Trikuta. In the valley of these great Trikuta mountains is a garden by the name of Ritumat. And this garden is very, very beautiful. There are different types of flower trees, fruit trees, and the fruits and flowers were blossoming throughout the year, meaning nothing was seasonal there. Throughout all the seasons, all fruits and flowers were beautifully blossoming. Okay, so you can just imagine at the foothills of the mountain is the ocean of milk, and then there are gardens with wonderful fruits and flowers. Okay, and there are lakes also amidst these gardens. Okay, there are lakes, and the banks of these lakes were not filled with normal sand, but they were filled with gemstones. And there were varieties of animals who were wandering along the forests and gardens of this Ritumat. So, in this way, it was very, very beautiful. And among these elephants was the king of the among these animals was also a herd of elephants. Okay, and the king of these elephants, Gajendra, he was also wandering along these gardens with his herd. Okay, with his female elephants and younger elephants, children, they were all wandering together very nicely. Okay, and they reached the lake. Okay, as soon as they reach the bank of the lake, the king of elephants, Gajendra, he enters the lake. Okay, and he starts bathing very nicely, very thoroughly to relieve his fatigue. Okay, so he takes a nice bath and then he drinks the cold nectarian water of that lake. Okay, and in that lake, there were beautiful lotus flowers which were blooming. Okay, so as he drinks the water and as he is about to exit from the lake, a crocodile comes. Because Gajendra was in that lake and he was drinking that water and he was splashing water with his trunk, splashing on all the other elephants and all that. So, this crocodile who was resting in the waters became very disturbed. Okay, so this crocodile comes and what does he do? He catches hold of Gajendra's foot, catches hold of Gajendra's foot and he starts biting into Gajendra's flesh. Okay, this crocodile was very, very strong. Okay, so Gajendra starts tugging and pulling away. But the crocodile was very strong and he continued to bite into Gajendra's flesh. And Gajendra is pulling, the crocodile is pulling, and this way they fought with each other. And they fought and they fought and they fought continuously. And all of Gajendra's companions were in the sidelines and they were watching, but they could not do anything at all. And they were fighting Gajendra with all his might. He was fighting with this crocodile. And in this way, they were continuously fighting, and 1000 celestial years passed. Gajendra is pulling off and trying to defend himself and is fighting, and in the midst of everything, trying to attack the crocodile. But because the crocodile was an animal of the water and they were in the water, so the crocodile had that advantage of being stronger. It was getting more and more strength because it was in the water, which is its natural condition, right? Whereas Gajendra was an animal of the land and now it's in water. Okay, the crocodile was having home ground advantage, dear devotees. So the crocodile was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and Gajendra was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Okay, so Gajendra looked around and he realized that he got a very important realization, dear devotees, that during these difficult times of material calamity, even my wives, my children, my relatives, my family, my friends, all these elephants, my subjects, even they are not able to help me. The only person who can help me is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let me surrender unto Him. Okay? So, Gajendra, he starts praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. He starts calling out to the Supreme Lord. Okay? So, now, at this point, dear Prabhus and Matajis, let us take a look at Gajendra's past life. So, in his past life, Gajendra was actually a king by the name of Indradyumna. And because of a curse, he had to become born as an elephant. Okay? But because in his previous birth, he had recited and learned a wonderful prayer. Okay, he had recited these wonderful prayers. These prayers, okay, just like how we discussed in the sloka, our spiritual credits remain with us birth after birth after birth. Throughout lifetimes, the spiritual credits will remain. The material credits, material knowledge will go off, but the spiritual credits will remain. And Gajendra was so fortunate that in his previous life, he learned this wonderful prayer when he was Maharaj Indradyumna. And this prayer, he remembered now at the time of his surrender to the Lord. The Lord gave him this intelligence to remember this prayer which he continuously recited in his previous life. And so he started reciting these wonderful, wonderful series of prayers, famously became known as the Gajendra prayers of surrender. These prayers are very, very wonderful, very insightful, and are very, very beneficial actually to recite during this month of Kartik. Many devotees recite these prayers every day during this auspicious month. Okay, so Gajendra started reciting these wonderful prayers. All right, and when he recited these prayers, the Supreme Lord was so so responsive. The Lord is Bhakta Vatsala, and as soon as he heard Gajendra recite these prayers with all his heart, surrendering unto him, the Lord immediately, okay, mounted on his carrier Garuda, and he immediately came to that place, the valley of the Trikuta mountain, to save Gajendra. Okay, when he comes there to save Gajendra, the Lord sees Gajendra in that helpless condition, and Gajendra, even though he was in his helpless condition, immediately upon seeing the Lord, he offers his respectful obeisances to the Lord, and out of great difficulty, he makes an attempt to offer a lotus flower. He looks around, what can I offer to the Lord? in the midst of his dying condition. Okay, he looks around. All he could find in that lake was some lotus flowers, and he picks up one lotus flower and very lovingly, in spite of difficult conditions, offers it to the Lord. And the Lord is so touched. The Lord immediately pulls out Gajendra and the crocodile from the lake to the land. And then the Lord immediately issues his Sudarshan Chakra, calls for his Sudarshan Chakra, and sends his chakra to sever the head of that crocodile. Okay? And in this way, the Lord saves Gajendra from that crocodile. Okay, in the presence of all the demigods who were looking on. Okay, so actually, this crocodile, who was this crocodile? This crocodile was a king on the Gandharva planet by the name of Huhu. And once this king Huhu was enjoying with women in water, and while enjoying, he did some naughtiness also. He pulled the leg of Devala Rishi, who was also taking bath in the same water. And upon this, the sage became very angry and immediately cursed this Gandharva, Huhu, to become a crocodile. Okay, so King Huhu was he felt very bad when he was cursed, and he was begging for forgiveness from the sage. Okay, and this sage Devala, he gave him this benediction: don't worry, you will become freed when Gajendra is delivered by the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead will deliver Gajendra, at the same time, he will also deliver you. So don't worry. So both Gajendra and the crocodile, who was Gandharva Huhu in his previous lifetime, received the mercy and blessings of the Lord. Okay, so this wonderful event is also very significant in this month of Kartik. And please, if your time permits today, please try to recite this wonderful series of prayers, Gajendra Moksha. So thank you all very much. Now we will sing Damodar Ashtaka. Okay, Sri Hari Prabhu, Hari Krishna Prabhu. All right, who would like to chant the prayers today?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes.
Prabhu? Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
No, no, okay. Anybody want to sing? They can sing. Yes. Yeah, Amrita Mataji, I'll highlight her, spotlight it. Yes.
Very beautiful, Amrita Mataji. Thank you for wonderful darshan.
Okay. Anybody singing Damodar Ashtakam? There's nobody else sing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Shall I sing?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna.
Please go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah. 1 minute. Hare Krishna. Namami Ishwaram Sachit Anantarupam Nasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashodhabhiyo Lukhaladhavamanam Param Dishtam Matyantato Drita Gopya Udantam Muhutneta Yugmam Vijantam Karamboja Yugmena Satanka Netram Muhushvasakam Patrirekanga Kanta Tita Grivam Damodar